Azad Hind Sarkar was the only government in the world, a functional government, not on paper, which never surrendered to the Allied forces after the Second World War. The Azad Hind Army was the only army in the world which never surrendered to the Allied forces. The last orders were, we disband to regroup again. The things which are following as a compromise of this dominion status. Kashmir attack. We know much of the history, but very few people know that the army advice to Nehru was not to go for ceasefire till we have thrown out the Pakistanis back. And he went against that. Though Mountbatten at that time was sitting in England. I have the records of the meetings between Jinnah, Liaquat Ali and Mountbatten and what V.P. Menon is writing to them and all that. And that is how a Pak-occupied Kashmir was created. A full problem for India, which exists even now. How many people know that the Union Jack never went down at the Viceroyal residence on 15th of August? It was only the Indian flag went up. The Union Jack was flying. This did not happen in Pakistan. Thank you very much. And it's a real pleasure being with you all. And I selected this topic for today because since childhood, one had heard whispers, that there was some secret pact in 47, what happened, what didn't happen. But the real history was never taught. All we were taught always were two things. 15th August, we got independence. And the other song, कि दे दी हमें आजादी बिना तीर बिना ढाल, कर दिया कमाल. One grew with it. And today I am of the opinion that if I am in the government, I'll ban this song. Because this song humiliates our revolutionaries. It humiliates all those who sacrificed their lives fighting the British. Right from the Sannyasi rebellion of 1770 to you come to 1857, so many things, because wherever the British went, they were challenged. And similarly, people fought for independence. They gave their lives, they gave their youth, they sacrificed everything. And we say कि हमको आजादी दे दी बिना तीर बिना डाल. No one gave us azadi. We fought for it and we compelled the British to leave out. And let me start with this. That by 1945, December, it was very clear to the British that they can't stay in India. If you look at the letter written by Auchinleck, the chief commander of British Army in India, Auchinleck wrote to the Viceroy that an 1857 type situation has emerged. If we have to stay in India, I will need 1 lakh European soldiers. And we will have to reconquer India again. These are the words of Auchinleck in December 1945, the chief commander of the British in India. And on the basis of that letter, the Viceroy Wavell writes a letter back home saying, we must reach a compromise and do an agreement, or we will face a movement which will be much more stronger than 1942, difficult to control. Now, these two letters make it very clear that by 45 December, the British were very clear they have to be out of India. In fact, proving Netaji Subhash Chandra's words true when he said that when the war will be over, they will have to leave India. India will get independence. That were his words. He never thought that we will get something else instead of independence. Now, on the one hand, in the country at that moment, during this period, 45-47, is this negotiation going on the tables. The Congress leaders have been released. They have condemned 1942. They have condemned INA's actions. and they are in negotiation with the Britishers, sitting on the tables, what is to be done. The issue before Britishers was how do they leave India and in whose hands they give India. That was a very crucial aspect for them. And that is why, if you see, the whole thing starts. In 1946, we had always heard that how Nehru was made the president of the Congress. That is, name never came from the provincial committees, and he was just put in the Congress Working Committee and imposed into that. But except for Kriplani's account, we had nothing of that sort with us to prove document-wise. And while now doing the Museum of Prime Ministers, I wrote for 5 prime ministers for the museum which is coming up. I was bent upon in finding some of these documents because all these documents had been destroyed. The only file missing in All India Congress Committee papers is the minutes of that Congress Working Committee of April 1946. The letters sent to PCCs to send names are missing. The names sent by PCC are missing. But somehow my researcher mind said, I put my scholar, I said, no, look into the miscellaneous papers of the Congress. Because there these people won't have the mind to destroy the miscellaneous papers. And in the miscellaneous papers, I found a document, a press release signed by Sajjad Ahmad, the Congress Office Secretary in Delhi, where he says that 5 names were there. And it's very interesting. Kriplani's name was put in the working committee. Nehru's name was put in the working committee. The names which had come from PC were of Sardar Patel. And one had sent a name of Subhash Chandra Bose, and one name was there of Jayaprakash Narayan. Subhash Chandra Bose's name was rejected on the ground. Mind it, this is April 46, not 45. On the ground that he is not a forerunner member of the Congress. And Jayaprakash Narayan's nomination was rejected, that his name has not been sent as a delegate by the Bihar Congress, and now among these 3 it has to be decided, and so Nehru was imposed into that. And this handover and takeover of Congress presidentship was to be done in November or December when the Congress session takes place, as has been the practice in Congress. But Gandhi got that handover and takeover changed in the month of May itself. Because election, interim government was coming, and whosoever will be the Congress president, he will be the prime minister of the interim government. And I dug out a letter written very strongly by Maulana Azad, you have mistrusted me. Because otherwise Maulana Azad would have sat as prime minister at that time. And then came another thing. In June 47, Gandhi makes a statement in a prayer meeting. And he says, people are asking me, will there be a change of leadership? Because independence is coming. And my answer to that is, please mind these words. Because these are the words coming from a champion of Swadeshi. There is a words coming from a person who always talked of the rural people and the poor people. He says, a Cambridge-educated Harrow boy is required to deal with the British. Very interesting. And this further proves my point that what the Britishers were looking for, because the British thing was who should be the next Prime Minister of India when we leave India. And then I looked at Nehru's visit to Singapore, March 46. Why, when elections are there, everything is going on, why he dashes off to Singapore? And that visit to Singapore had been arranged by Hugh Toy, the MI5 agent for Southeast Asia, who was controlling the British intelligence in Southeast Asia. And that is how, that time only the decisions are there that Mountbatten will be coming to India, and to make Mountbatten and Nehru friends and know each other. The main purpose of the visit was, first was this, and second was to get the surrender of the INA people. Because all INA intelligence officers and all had gone underground to take their surrender. Because here we must remember that Azad Hind Sarkar was the only government in the world, a functional government, not on paper, which never surrendered to the Allied forces after the Second World War. The Azad Hind Army was the only army in the world which never surrendered to the Allied forces. The last orders were, we disband to regroup again. And that is what happens in 45-47, that when the INA people come to India, there are files and files and files in the archives that in different forms, different organizations are coming up. Kanpur mein Azad Hind Sangh ban jata hai. In BHU, the Rani Jhansi regiment is revived. 12 girls joined the Rani Jhansi regiment there. Somewhere it is Yuva Sangh. Somewhere it is Congress Sangh. And in all these places, the INA soldiers in their uniforms are going and delivering lectures. They are giving them semi-military training, parade and all that and all. And there's a direct link between what happened as the naval, which was called as the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny and all, but the direct link is established. You'll be surprised to know that in November 45 in Calcutta, during the Gurupurab day, and this is a military intelligence report I am quoting. On the Gurupurab day, there is Guru Granth Sahib outside in the ground. There are about 30,000 people. And out of these 30,000 people, 3,000 are serving British officials and soldiers in the army. And there, along with the Guru Granth Sahib, a portrait of Netaji is kept. And INA songs are sung there. And this intelligence officer is baffled. He's saying, I have never seen the Sikhs putting up any photograph with that, this kind of a thing. Now, there's plenty to it. I don't want to, put in this lecture all these things which are happening in the country. But right from Peshawar to down south in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, everywhere, Assam, Bengal, UP, everywhere the country is in a different mood. And in a mood at that time, when communism was surcharged in India, when Jinnah had said for Deliverance Day, when Jinnah talked of partition and all that demand was going on. And if you'll recall that the entire country stood behind the INA trials as one country. The Britishers were not fools. They put 3 persons on trial, Dhillo e Sardarji, Sehgal e Hindu, and Shah Nawaz a Muslim. That was the last strength of, Indian unity they were testing. And the whole country from north to south was one. One had never seen such 1942. One had not seen such kind of demonstrations and all, which took place during that time. Even in 1942, such demonstrations were not seen in all parts of the country. There were fights, and the British were challenged. But in all parts of the country, right from Peshawar, Sargodha, Lahore, Rawalpindi, to Chennai, to Bengaluru, all these places you see, there were massive demonstrations. Lal Kile se aayi awaaz, Sehgal, Dhillo, Shah Nawaz, and even slogans like Azad Hind Fauj ko to chhod do, Lal Kila tod do. Such an enthusiasm which was there. And this was a time when Aruna Asafali wrote to Gandhi, why don't you come out and lead a movement against Pakistan? See, the Indian people are fighting together. And Gandhi's, because she quoted a number of, peasant movements, strikes, all these things. Gandhi says, they have joined, Hindus and Muslims have joined hands at the barricades. And I won't support this. And this is what she replies, that they join hands only at barricades, giving 1857 examples and all that to them. But these people were not prepared to carry on the fight again. As I said, Nehru had said later on, he said at some time, we were a tired people. We were not prepared to go to gallows once again for the sake of the country. This is what Nehru had said. And my question is, aap logon ne kya theka le rakha tha? Now I would like you to show here these 4 documents. These documents which are there on the slide. And then I'll explain those documents and then I'll go further in. Because I was probing. Now the very first document in this, if we got independence in 1947, then why Jawaharlal Nehru had to take the approval of the British King George VI to appoint Rajgopalachari as the second Governor General of India? This is a letter written by Nehru on behalf of his cabinet, seeking the approval to replace Mountbatten by Rajgopalachari. It's a very crucial document. And I tell you, even Mathai had published this document in his book, but our historians ignored it. Particularly the Sarkari historians and all. They ignored it. In no classroom this was taught. We teach that Rajgopalachari was made the second Governor General of India, but we don't say that approval for that was taken from the British king. This is more important. This is from the Attlee papers, his cabinet meeting in which the decision was taken to partition India. And see what he writes. It now appeared, however, that some of the Congress leaders had become increasingly apprehensive about the difficulties which the grant of immediate independence would involve. And the most significant approach to the Viceroy had been made by Pandit Nehru and Sardar Patel, who had suggested that in the event of partition, Hindu India should be granted dominion status at an early rate as a temporary measure. They had explained that they would hope to secure the agreement of their supporters to this course by arguing that acceptance of dominion status would enable power to be transferred to Indian hands at a date substantially earlier than June 48. And then once she had attained dominion status, Hindu India would be free to secede at any time from the Commonwealth. Very important document. Though I think the perceptions are different of both Patel and Sardar in agreeing to this. I'll come to this a little later. And then on the basis of this, the next two documents which they say that now we can make a Hindu dominion and we can make a Islamic dominion. And the emperor, and we must ensure that the king remains the emperor of India. That's what the next document states. India, which attains dominion status, and all this which goes in these documents related to that. Now, these are very crucial, and these documents were declassified only 2 years back. But no one of historians even bothered to go into this kind of a thing. Now, I started looking at these things, and I was quite stunned because some questions had perturbed me a lot. One question was, why we made the first Governor General of India the last representative of Britain in India, Mountbatten. A country which massacred the Indians for 175 years, a country which looted Indians for 175 years, a country which killed so many, which executed so many, looted our resources, and we say we have got freedom and we are making the last representative of that country as our first head of the government of India. What is this? Is it not a compromise? And Mountbatten, he got much more. He was specifically instructed that he should make Indian leaders agree for partition. That's the aim with which he was sent. And before coming here, he had met Churchill. He writes in his own thing. Churchill told me, don't forget my Muslim friends. And I assured him I won't. And what was Mountbatten doing? How many people or history books in this country know this? That in June 47, Mountbatten dashed to Srinagar in a plane for a day, only to tell the Maharaja, counsel him, that he should not join any of the unions. This he is telling to Maharaja Hari Singh in 47. And even when Patel got the accession treaty with him, it is Mountbatten who says it is a temporary treaty. Unless the plebiscite is done, nothing can be resolved. This is what Mountbatten does to India. How many books tell us that after Nehru having agreed for partition, Gandhi says actually that today there are fellow monarchs, if I still consider myself to be a monarch in the Congress. And the same Gandhi who said that partition will be over my dead body, then counsels Badshah Ghaffar Khan, no, Pakistan is a reality and you go and join Jinnah. Because Badshah Ghaffar Khan was totally opposed to partition. He even said that either you give us independence or we join India. If an East Pakistan can be made, why can't a West India be made? Now, why this betrayal? And the funniest thing, when Gandhi meets Mountbatten, that's his silence day. The fate of millions of Indians has to be decided. And he writes on a piece of paper, have I said anything against you? Doesn't break his silence to discuss anything. And when the resolution is moved in the Congress committee in Ramjas College in Delhi, Govind Ballabh Pant, when he moves it, there is hue and cry, and it is that the resolution will be lost. And that day, Gandhi also has his silence day. He is working in a Harijan colony in Kingsway camp. That day he is called. But that day he breaks his silence. You accept this resolution, or we all Congress leaders are going to decide. And you select a new leadership. Now, this behavior of Gandhi is typical. Not typical. It is consistent if you analyze it. In 1927-28, in the Calcutta session, when the complete independence resolution is moved as an amendment to his dominion status thing, Gandhi comes out heavily against Bose. And it is defeated. In 1929, in Lahore session, when they accept this, then Bose goes a step further, saying how it will be achieved, please tell us. And that amendment is also rejected. And if you will recall, after the civil disobedience movement, when Gandhi sits with Irwin, Gandhi-Irwin pact, he comes back to dominion status. He forgets the complete independence resolution of Congress of Lahore of 1929. And then Congress again enters into a phase. Yesterday only I was reading A.M. Saha's autobiography. He was the minister in Netaji's cabinet. And they are organizing the Indian Independence League and they call it Congress in Japan. And he says he receives a letter from Nehru in 1936. Now people are no more affiliated to Congress. Congress is closing all its international branches. Why? Because all these international branches were managed by revolutionaries. The ex-Ghadar party people in Southeast Asia. Whether it was Prem Singh, whether it was Preem Singh, whether it was Raj Bihari Bose. All these people. And they want to cut it out. You have statements made that Nehru saying that I will myself go and fight the INA and all. And you look comparatively at what Bose is saying. He forms an interim government only. Because Indians should make the government. He makes a Gandhi brigade. He has tremendous respect for Gandhi. He makes a Nehru brigade. Doing for that. But anyway, this is cut out. Now, second, another aspect in this is, how many people know that the Union Jack never went down at the Viceroyal residence on 15th of August? It was only the Indian flag went up. The Union Jack was flying. This did not happen in Pakistan. And people say Nehru on 15th August. Nehru's flag is on 16th August in Red Fort. Not on 15th August. And they'll do what happens. The ex-INA people, they want to participate in the parade inside the Red Fort. Because that was the, dream of INA and Netaji. And Mountbatten and Auchinleck tell Nehru, this can't happen. And Nehru concedes. And these fighters of INA, वो बेचारे लाल किले के बाहर मैदान में खड़े होकर के उस दिन को सेलिब्रेट करते हैं. The way they are kept out. Patel wants the INA to be taken back into the Indian Army. Ample letters, Nehru on the advice of Auchinleck and Wavell and then later Mountbatten. We won't take them back in the Indian Army. Fine. Don't do that. And the things which are following as a compromise of this dominion status. Kashmir attack. We know much of the history, but very few people know that the army advice to Nehru was not to go for ceasefire till we have thrown out the Pakistanis back. And he went against that. The Mountbatten at that time was sitting in England. I have the records of the meetings between Jinnah, Liaquat Ali and Mountbatten and what V.P. Menon is writing to them and all that. And that is how a Pak-occupied Kashmir was created. A full problem for India, which exists even now. People tell me you are a Nehru baiter. I said, no, I'm not a Nehru baiter. I applaud Nehru's Goa action. But when it comes to 62 or when it comes to Kashmir, as a historian, I can't ignore the facts which are there. Taking the Kashmir issue to UN, again at Mountbatten's advice. If you say the Kabylis have attacked, and you are not saying that Pakistan, a country, has attacked, then Kabylis are not a nation. Then why are you taking that issue to the UNO? And total ignoring at that time of the different letters and all. Did these people know that what is going to happen when partition is announced? Enough signals were there. Lahore Rioting had given the signal. Direct Action Day of Jinnah had given the signal. Noakhali had given the signal. Calcutta Riots had given the signal. You tell me, show me a single document when they are negotiating this dominion status with them, what precautions they have taken that the massacre of the people doesn't take place. I want to see it all. Enjoying power. People are being killed. And I ask this question. This whole damn thing which we say, non-violence, non-violence, non-violence. Can you isolate the killings of 1946 and 47 from the kind of freedom struggle led by the Congress? Was it not a natural, logical outcome? What happened in massacres? They call it migration. I laugh at it. These were not migrations. 2 years back, I was releasing a book in Jaipur, and the author had kept the title of the book, Sikh Migrants of India. I said, Madam, please change the name. Ask the Sardarji gentleman sitting here, he is 92 years old. Did he ever wanted to migrate? These were forced throwing out of people from their areas of residence. This can't be brought out in the category of the terms coined in British language, migration or mobility studies and all. They can't be done. These were forced displacement of the people against their wishes, against their will, but not taken care of. How many of us know that Mountbatten, taking the oath of Governor General of India, took the oath in the name of King of England? We say it was independence. State will take oath of his position in the name of king. There's another document in these documents. London Gazette, 22nd June 1948, where it is gazetted that from today King George VI and his successors abdicate the throne of India. And if the throne of India was abdicated on 22nd June 1948, what moral Indian leadership had to say that we got independence on 15th August 1947? How many of the people know in this country that why 15th August date was selected by Mountbatten? Can anyone make a guess? Was the date? The reason is 15th August 47 was the day when Mountbatten took the surrender of Japan, and the INA was fighting along with Japan. And the INA and Azad Hind Sarkar didn't surrender. Mountbatten couldn't take their surrender. This was to further humiliate that you selected. And we readily agree to that. And that is why these slavish mentalities continue. Till today, we have seen this. Our history books tell us so and so got Victoria Cross, Iron Cross in the First World War fighting for the British. Please name me a single person. If my history teachers or my younger generation or my politicians can tell me a single name who was awarded bravery medals by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose for either sacrificing his life at the front or fighting the British. About 39 of such things were there. That not a single name. I'm writing a book now on that. I'm writing a book on that. The awardees. I'm writing a book on unknown freedom struggle fighters. The names will never appear. No one knows. And we very conveniently forgot the great sacrifices done by the people in East Asian countries for India's freedom. No one knows the name of Chatterjee, no one knows the name of A.M. Sahai, no one knows the name of S.N. Sahai, and how these people were collaborating with the British. I'll give you an interesting example. S.N. Sahai was a very senior intelligence officer of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. And on his instructions, he went underground. And when Nehru went to Singapore, this man climbed the pipe to his hotel room to meet him in the midnight. Mathai and Nehru greeted him. Nehru said, "Oh, bravo, how are you?" and all that. The meeting lasted for almost 4 or 5 hours. Nehru persuading him to surrender. And he said, "I'll think over it." Because you can imagine what the surrender of an intelligence officer means at that time. And he came down the same way through the pipe. And he was waiting for a bus early morning. And suddenly, 2 jeeps of American soldiers come there. He's surrounded and he's arrested. How many people in this country know that 5 kg of gold given by Harbans Singh to Nehru in Singapore? And this is not me speaking. This is the file speaking. Nehru opened a personal account in India Overseas Bank in Singapore, and it was deposited in that. And the thing even was, it will be spent on fellowships, etc., to Indian students in Malaya and all that thing. Where did that money go? Recently, I came across a file sent to me from Singapore by a friend. Almost 50 kg of gold. Each item is listed. इतने bangles हैं, इतने कान के मुंदे हैं, ये गले की माला है, इसका weight ये है. Besides cash and all. Fortified by the British. First our Prime Minister says, वो सिंगापुर वाले अकाउंट में जमा करा दीजिए. The British say no. The last noting on that file is of 1950. And what it says? Now the Indian Prime Minister is saying that it should be distributed equally between India and Pakistan. Why Pakistan? And then it says, we told the Indian Prime Minister that we will contact the Pakistani Premier, and he says, no, I will contact him. And where did that 40 kg of gold and all that money go? No one knows. The Indian mission is writing. All those files have been declassified. In Tokyo, these people are holding so much of these funds of INA and they are misusing it, and the government should do something to that. Nehru very conveniently ignores those, and the ones who are hiding are honored. The bank of Azadin Fauj, Azadin Bank in Rangoon, when it was sealed, I'm able to discover the last, signatures of the director of the bank, Dinanath. He settled in Chandigarh only, I think, later on. Dinanath. He lists everything. So much gold, so much rupees, so much this thing in the bank. Where did it go? And these things are interrelated, you see. You can't separate them away. When you go for a dominion status, and I was just wondering of one thing, that Congress maintained its tradition. In 1885, when Congress was formed, Hume had said that it is being formed as a safety valve to check the divisive forces which were emerging after 1857 once again in the country. And we got then Bipin Chandra's view and all that. No, there were nationalists in this and they wouldn't have agreed to Hume and all. And today, as a historian, when I look at Hume, every aspect of the Congress moves. I want a question. Because all this gets confined down to Nehru also in the later stages. In 1926 or 27, I think, Nehru goes to Russia. Now, there's a question mark on this visit. Because an Indian going to Soviet Union at that time, the revolutionaries or who wanted to be communists and all, they will run. They will go via Afghanistan, they will go via Kabul and all these places and all. And Nehru makes an official visit to Russia. And I want the UP government to throw open the CID records at Gokhale Marg, Lucknow. You will get the proof that Nehru's visit was arranged by the British. There is a noting on a file by the Director Intelligence that the Indian youth are going towards this armed revolutionary struggle and all. You see 1926 and all, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar, Ashfaqullah, so many, the revolutionary movement is going in its full strength. The Naujawan Bharat Sabha is going in its full strength. We can use youth like Nehru to contain it. And the director says, go ahead. And that's how Nehru's visit is officially done to Russia. No Indian was allowed officially to go to Soviet Union. In fact, going to Soviet Union is an iron curtain at that time. How that was. And then one sees one by one, he's claiming socialist on the one hand. I have dug out ample evidence, I published also, how he's betraying the peasants, how doing his other. I don't know that. But this whole thing that India got independence, no, sorry. If we have to celebrate India's independence, then let us either celebrate it 21st October, when the Azad Hind Sarkar is formed. And many people tell to me, no, there were other governments also formed. Why do you say that Bose is the first premier of Azad Hind Sarkar and independent India and all? I said, yes. And there are reasons for that. The other governments which were formed in exile never functioned as formal governments. Raja Mahendra Pratap Singh was there. Afghanistan he formed it, then he went to, even the Khaksar formed it, all these things. It was the first government which had its army, which had its bank, which had its postal services, which had its supplies, which had its civilian training camps, and it ruled on Indian soil. Let us not forget that Andamans was under Japanese occupation for more than a year. For more than a year, the Japanese had occupied Andamans. It is Bose who forces them to no, we have the Azad in Sarkar now, Andaman is India, you have to give this territory back to us. 30th December 1930, 1943, 44, 43, just confusing. Then Moirang, Manipur. When Colonel Shaukat Ali flies the Indian flag act, 14th April, have that date as an Independence Day. Or have that day as an Independence Day when the INA moved into Arakan area from Burma to the Indian soil. But please, don't fool the people. Except it was a dominion status, every document of the British, they address Premier of the Indian Dominion, Premier of the Pakistani Dominion. And there are much more to it, these impacts and all which comes into it. How Mountbatten harmed India at that moment. How he shouted at the Hyderabad action, Operation Polo, which Patel had made. And Patel's consent, you see, Patel's moving is something very different. And his actions prove it. What he is thinking. Had he not been there, what would have been India's condition? And I'll suggest to my friends who are interested that Lionel Carter has come out with quite a few volumes very recently, published from Manor in Delhi. These are the documents of the British military records and other things of the period which did not come in the transfer of power volumes. Our historians should read it. There are files and files in the archives which I find no historian has ever consulted, because of those files you get the names of those who requisited those files. And transfer of power volumes were published in 1976. Name me a single historian in this country. These big dons at JNU and DU and Aligarh and other places sitting over there, who changed a single line of Indian history, of freedom struggle or of partition, seeing these documents of transfer of power volumes. There are huge volumes, you see. No, because they were happy writing the Sarkari Congress versions of history for the people of India. So everything is what Gandhi did, everything is what Nehru did, so that the families can cash out. I'll stop it here.
You had shared these maps about the proposed partition of India. If you could talk about that.
Well, these maps are prepared in British India. By the Britishers. When they are thinking, these are from the British archives. These maps which I had put up. And I'll narrate a very interesting story to you here. When I did the museum in National Library in Calcutta, icons of nationalism from the soil of Bengal, so it put up four there: Bankim, Bose, Rabindranath Tagore, and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. So a reporter from Telegraph rang me up. Our chief minister is very angry that you have put Shyama Prasad Mukherjee also at that pedestal and have shown him in the museum. So what is your comment? So I said, look, tell your chief minister, Professor Kapil Kumar said that had Shyama Prasad Mukherjee not been there, she would not have been the chief minister of West Bengal today. He said, how come? She said, how come? I said, Jinnah demanded Calcutta. Congress kept silent. Suharwardi talked of a separate Bengal state. Congress kept silent. It was Shyama Prasad Mukherjee who said that what is happening and you are dividing Punjab and all, there is Hindu population in Bengal also. And he drew a map. I was just reminded this because of map. He drew a map and sent the map to the Lieutenant Governor. She said, where are these documents? I said, you didn't pay a visit to the museum? This is the level of our journalism. You want to do a story sitting at home? Please go and see the museum. Each and every document I have displayed there. They are not my documents. Oh, if that is the case, I won't do the story. So these plans were made. And let me tell you one more thing here, which people don't know. The Nawab of Bhopal, he was at that time the chief of that Chamber of Princes. He demanded a third dominion. That one dominion you create Pakistan, one dominion you create India, and these princely states you put up as one dominion and transfer power to three dominions. Patel thwarted it. No history books tells you of that. If this was the demand of the, and very seriously considered. Even Auchinleck suggested balkanization of India. And in a way, the British did it by saying that paramountcy has left. Those who say that India was created for the first time in 47, I pose a question to them. Why did then the British called it Indian Empire? And why did they call it Throne of India? And why was the same representative Viceroy for the Indian states and Governor General for the provinces? So these, brainwashing takes place without taking facts into totality. I'll never speak anything on history. People ask me to say, oh, you say this thing as a historian. If you say it will have credibility, I said, I'm sorry. Unless I have the evidence with me, I will not speak.
Yes, Kapil sir, it's always a pleasure to listen to you from your vast knowledge and wisdom. So my question is, after 75 years of independence, we do not have the full, real, true history before us. So when will we be able to find the true history? This is my question.
Never, Ramesh. And I'm very angry at this when I'm using this word never. What is our ICHR doing for the last 6 years? What are the NCERT textbooks doing this? I'm sorry to say, we had an education minister very recently who came out on the screens and said, TV screens, laughingly, we have not changed even a comma or a full stop in the NCERT textbook. Atri was doing a good job
Neeraj Atri
on pointing out these things. And that is why, Agarwal Sahab, I have taken the initiative myself. Okay, whatever little I can do, because I believe that history belongs to the people. I don't want to cage history in seminar rooms or in journals or in books. I'm taking the history to the people through social media. Every document new I find, I put it on the social media. People told me, अरे इसका तुम्हारा वो right होना चाहिए, तुमको credit मिलना चाहिए, copyright होना चाहिए. I said nothing doing. This is people's history of India. मैं रिटायर हो गया हूं, मैं प्रोफेसर हूं, मुझको और क्या चाहिए अपने नाम के आगे? या मुझे किस बात का नाम कमाना है ये दे करके? ये हमारी जनता की हिस्ट्री है, हमको जनता के सामने ले जानी है. And I'm very happy that the younger generation of today is very keen to know this. But Agarwal Sahab, I'll tell you, there are some mad people like us, or Naveen Attri or some others, who are trying their best to do this, that an alternate viewpoints. Well, you see, that's what she said. I made an organization recently, a trust. I titled it Organization of Unearthing Suppressed Realities of Hindustani History. I wanted to keep the name India or Bharat, but they said उसके लिए बड़ी permission लेनी होगी. तो ठीक है. I have no funds. And research is a very costly affair these days. देखिए, this document which I am showing you of the King's approval for Viceroy, I think there are hundreds of such documents lying in the King's archives in London. Because every ambassador Nehru was appointing, he was seeking King's permission. Any bureaucrat he was appointing, he was seeking, this so-called first Prime Minister of independent India was seeking King's permission for everything. Now I want to visit it. I can't afford it. And I tell you, Agarwal sir, frustrations come sometimes. When we start this kind of an endeavor, everyone will say, oh, please go ahead, we are there, we will help you and all. And when I made this organization, I thought, so many people are saying, if even 1,000 rupees everyone gives, we'll be able to make an amount and we'll go through and appoint research scholars and go into that. But people won't help. They don't come forward. Because here in India, we want to shoot the gun at someone else's shoulder. कोई आके मेरी प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व कर दे, मैं अपनी तरफ से कुछ ना करूं, मैं मास्क ना पहनूं, सरकार मेरे को ऑक्सीजन भी दिला दे और सरकार मुझे सब कुछ दिला दे, लेकिन मैं मास्क नहीं पहनूं. We have to come out of these slavish mentalities. And a new India is building up. The youth of India is today very keen, very energetic. I find very happy when I see the science students, when I see the IT students, so much interest in history. I have done webinars for Purdue University, our Indians doing engineering over there. I have done for students for New York University. They're so keen over there, these students. And that is the awakening which is taking place. And my immediate task I'm taking is, I want to make 100 videos in the coming year. Like Dwarka. Myth to reality. They called it myth, and I'll show the excavations now and what has been dug out in the marine excavations. This is the reality. Whether it is Saraswati River. Because if we have to pursue scientific history, see what the science tells us. Science tells us if anything is there, any natural phenomena is there or anything is there, you question it. Research on it. If the man saw birds flying, the man researched on it. If man had thought, oh, this is mythology, they have some mythical power, that's why the birds fly, would have got aeroplanes? Because man is a thinking animal. So if you hear this, that Dwarka was there, or Mahabharata was there, or something was there, those who talk of scientific history prove to be most unscientific when they go biased by their ideologies to write history. The scientific temperament says, okay, Mahabharata was there, research it. Then prove it was there or not. It was reality or myth. I don't know how many of us have seen this Sanoli finds which have come out now. The Rath, and they have been dated back to 1800 BC. And will you believe the sword which has come out for the first time in the world, a hilted copper sword? Archaeologists from world over have come to see that. And those chariots. लेकिन हमारे जो बड़े बड़े हिस्टोरियन हैं, आर्म चेयर वाले, लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के रिसर्च करने वाले, वो उसको जाके नहीं देखेंगे. वो सिर्फ उस पे स्टेटमेंट दे देंगे कि ये तो सब माइथोलॉजी है. यहां तक चले जाएंगे कि ये तो किसी ने प्लांट कर दिया वहां पे. Because they are ideologically biased. Close that. Be a historian. Have a scientific mind. There are so many things today. Carbon dating है, geographical censoring है, metal detectors है, कई चीजें हैं आजकल जिनको हम यूज कर सकते हैं और करना चाहिए. हम नहीं करेंगे. देखिए, जब मैंने म्यूजियम्स बनाए, मैं आपको बताऊं, आप जाइएगा इन म्यूजियम्स के अंदर. मैंने ऐसी फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम आई डिस्प्लेड इन दिस म्यूजियम द डॉक्यूमेंट्स, ऑर्डर्स टू किल, assassinate Subhash Chandra Bose by MI5 when he has to travel from Kabul to Berlin. They had come to know that he'll be traveling. And they have instructed their agents in Cairo and Istanbul. And I have put that orders over there. कोई नई चीज निकाली है. और बड़ा अच्छा लगता है कि अब जब बच्चे वहां जाते हैं, जितने ज्यादातर ये IAS की तैयारी करने वाले हैं ना, ये सब वहां जाते हैं, डायरी वायरी लेके नोट्स लेते हैं, फोटो खींचते हैं. तो मैं कभी कभी फीडबैक लेने के लिए आई गो देयर एंड आई एंजॉय दैट. व्हेन आई, दैट्स द बिगेस्ट सेटिस्फैक्शन आई गेट व्हेन दिस चिल्ड्रन विल से, व्हाई डिड वी गेट दिस इन आवर हिस्ट्री बुक्स. एंड द स्मॉलेस्ट थिंग्स आई टेल यू. कल ही मैंने ट्वीट किया था, वो कल या परसों, when Kunwar Singh started in Bihar in 1857, will you believe all the grass cutters in Bihar, they stopped grass supply to the British cavalry. और ये कहते हैं खाली रजवाड़ों की लड़ाई थी। आजमगढ़ के हलवाई भिक्खू सिक्खू, वो जितनी शक्कर है, they put it in the well. Case forces have sweet water. And when the British come, both these brothers are sent to Andamans. That's the crime. They did. भरा पड़ा है हमारा हिस्ट्री। बोस के पास यूपी से गए हुए गवाले, shepherds, they take their cow and buffaloes to him. We don't have anything else. Please take this. They will march along with the army. We will march along. We will provide milk from these to the army. We don't have their names. That is nationalism. And you know, many of these, most of these, had not even seen India. They had only heard stories about India from their grandparents, because most of them had gone coolies and petty businessmen and all these things over there. The kind of things which women, आज भी पेड़ हैं सहारनपुर के ये रास्ते में दिल्ली से जाइए और विलेजेस के अंदर, where 50 women were hanged on the trees by the British in 1857. The people worshipped those trees in those villages. But our history books won't tell it.
My question is about Subhash Chandra Bose, and I know you are a big researcher on that, and especially the legacy of Bose. So one of his very close aides, Habibur Rahman, he went over to Pakistan, and he is said to also be the mastermind of the so-called Kabaili attack that took place through Gilgit area. So what was the motivation behind that? That is one question. And second is about the other aide of Subhash Bose, Shahnawaz Khan, who became a close aide of Nehru in later years. So what has been the motivation behind these individuals? Did they just change, or were they never fully committed? What was the actual scene over there? If you can explain, please.
See, both are very important questions. Let me tell you something. Nehru Patel argued that INA should be taken back in Indian Army. As I said in my lecture, Nehru vehemently opposed it. And Pakistan invited all the Muslims to join. Some went, some didn't go. Okay, I'll give you an example from the Indian Army. Colonel Shaukat Usmani. He was offered a brigadier's job by Pakistan, Jinnah. Promised that we will make you the chief of Pakistani army. Shaukat Usmani never went. And he is known for his bravery in Kashmir, you know. We have forgotten him. So Habibur Rahman, firstly, I don't agree with that plane clash theory and all. Anyone can now, I can challenge the person on the basis of Habibur Rahman only. I'll show you 10 faults in the statements. I've gone through all the, I've even gone through that Chinese typing report also by now. Mukherjee Commission and all that. So it is simple. He was a colonel, and when India is refusing to restore him in the army, and Pakistan is offering him, why shouldn't he go? And Shahnawaz Khan, I said in one of my lectures, he remained honest and loyal to three persons. How? I'll tell you. At that time, Netaji didn't want to that it should be divulged where he is. So he remained loyal to his leader by declaring him dead as Nehru wanted it. So he remained loyal to Nehru also. You want him declared dead, I declare him dead. And Nehru gifted him heavily after that. He's a minister and all and whatnot. But the third part is very interesting. There are 5 pages in the Shahnawaz report which are generally ignored as an appendix to that report, in which he has submitted a report on the INA treasures. And once you read these 5 pages, when he is talking of the 7 steel boxes moving from Bangkok, and how they become wooden boxes and how they ultimately become 2 suitcases. And in the last, he's saying, this is not my mandate in my inquiry. So the government of India should hold another inquiry to trace the INA treasure. And the more you read this report very critically, with a glass in your hand, the whole theory of that plane crash becomes humbug. And that is where Shah Nawaz remained loyal to the INA-ISIL. And let me make another statement here, which is very crucial. See, a judge looks at, to give a judgment, the evidence which is provided before him. A judge doesn't go collecting evidence. That's what the investigating agency does. And that is the difference between a researcher and a judge. And that is why I am opposed to these judges being the inquiry commissions. और नतीजा आप देख लीजिए, हिंदुस्तान में किसी इंक्वायरी रिपोर्ट का कुछ नहीं निकल करके आता, कुछ दिन बाद सब नीचे पड़ी होती है जाकर के. You look at this Sahay report, Gumnami Baba. What was his mandate? His mandate was to identify who this man was, Gumnami Baba. His mandate was not to prove that he is not Subhash Chandra Bose. And what does he do? He never asked for the CID records. He never asked for the IB records. We could have done as commission chairman. UPCID at least. And then gives the judgment. He is not Subhash Chandra Bose. He might have been some other senior officer of the INA. क्या बेवकूफी का बचकाना स्टेटमेंट है. अरे all officers of the INA are known. हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं कि he might have been another senior officer of the INA. किसको बेवकूफ बना रहे हैं? And I tell you, I have come to one conclusion now. I'm sure you are aware by Chinese history or Japanese history, who have their secret societies. I think those who looted the INA treasures and those who never wanted Bose to be back in India, their secret society or something is there, their successors are there, and anything you want to do on Netaji, they come in your way. Even today. Otherwise, why the spying on Bose family and even children of 13 years who are writing to Bose family by the IB? Do you know Purvi Roy? IB went to her publisher when she was publishing her book. Sanjay Chaudhary, he was publishing AM Sai's grandson, his autobiography. The IB reached his house, his publisher. He was asked to remove certain pages out of that. Why is the book written by that Gupta? What's his name? Priyal Gupta, who was officially asked to write the history of INA, who did it in early 50s with a lot of INA documentation. That book was not allowed by Nehru to be published. And whereas all that material gone, which was handed over to Nehru by different people of INA. I know you are running short of time. Please find in Khosla Commission if you can see that document, or if anyone wants, I can mail him that document. The testimony of Lieutenant Colonel Rao, Netaji's personal physician. And he was brought before the Khosla Commission in chains because he had been jailed in Bhubaneswar jail by great Chachaji. Because he says, I am a witness to this, that the plane flew, the plane landed back, Netaji remained there, and he left by somebody. And if you are aware, Gaurav Sanyal, the inspector in Calcutta Police, who was a guard at the PO's camp in Singapore of Japanese, when he made the statement that the Japanese told me that this plane theory is humbug, He left by submarine, and that guard told me he was present when he left by the submarine. Gaurav Sanyal is murdered after a week. Chitta Basu, the forward bloc MP, when he makes a statement in Moscow that I have found documents, I am coming with them and I will disclose these documents in Calcutta, that he was in Russia. He lands in Delhi by plane, takes a train to Calcutta. Next day, his body is found by the railway track. These are historical facts. And sometimes you run these risks. Because my question is, यार सारा हिसाब किताब लगाओगे ना तो 1.5 टन सोना निकलेगा जाकर के, forget other things. India का. And why didn't our government claim it? So certain things of these are to be answered. But Shahnawaz, I tell you, it was give and take between him and Nehru. I don't want to say anything more. And one more point I'll make out here. See, Nehru made many of the INA officers as ambassadors and sent them out of India. Because Nehru didn't want the INA to regroup and combine in India. That is why they should not go into the army. Don't forget the letter written by Dadabhai Naroji's granddaughter, who was PS to Gandhi. The letter written to Guy Wind by her, that if Bose comes, even Gandhi and Nehru will not be able to stop him.
My question is regarding the 50 kg of gold that you mentioned was transferred to Pandit Nehru's personal account. Could you elaborate a bit on that? Who exactly did that? For what purpose? I mean, what did they expect in return? And secondly, if this was, some kind of underhanded transfer, how is it that these things are ever documented? It's surprising that such a thing is documented. Thank you.
How come they are documented? Okay, two things. You see, one thing is very clear, that when INA was being disbanded and others are being disbanded, and closely linked it to is its civilian wing, Indian Independence League. It played a major role, It's forerunner of INA, It is Indian Independence League which created INA, Sai and Raj Bihari and all that, and then asking Mohan Singh to do that. Now, there was sufficient funds with them after Bose call and all that. And many of the businessmen, I'm going to bring out their names now. You see, they even donated their whole states in Rangoon, buildings, money, etc., whatever it is. Even the poorest hawkers giving money. Now, this, when Nehru visited Singapore, Harbhajan Singh approached him through the Indian Independence League, saying that this 5 kg of gold is lying with me, which is the property of Indian Independence League. Why they are documented? Because Nehru could not have carried it with him. An account is opened in the Indian Overseas Bank, and Nehru appoints an administrator for that, and that money is put into that bank. And on paper it is said that this will be utilized to help the Indian students in Malaya for their studies and scholarships and all that. Now, my question is, did it happen? Where did it go? Because the Ministry of External Affairs becomes totally silent on these issues if you put up any questions. Anuj Dharak ne dimag kharab kar diya hai question पूछ karke. Dr. M.S. Pal, he has won recently a case in High Court in Calcutta on the treasure issue. I have discovered 7 treasures of INA. I have discovered 21 camps of INA. And should I tell you another interesting thing which no one knows? The trials ended on, I think, 8th January or something, 46. 8th or 9th January. On 10th January, there moves a train from Jigar Kacha in Bengal. On board are 1,029 INA prisoners of war listed as blacks, the most dangerous. And the train goes to Multan. And no one knows what happened to these 1029 after 47. People were fooled that the INA trials are over once the Red Fort trials are over. I'll give you letters after letters. The last letter of Nehru is by July 47 to Mountbatten. अब तो छोड़ दो भाई, हमारी बड़ी बेइज्जती हो रही है, अब तो आजादी आ रही है, अब तो छोड़ दो. All documented things. So you see, it also depends, I tell you, on what you are researching and what you are looking for. My dear friends, when I was looking for this Nehru's prime ministership thing of 46, discouraged me. Kapil, you are wasting your time. You will not find anything at all. And I was able to dug out. And some of the other mysteries also will come out. I tell you, history can be suppressed. History can be distorted. History can be sidetracked. But history can't be killed. And today a time has come when history is speaking, and history is speaking very loud. So that's why I want to find one report. I need to go to England for that. See, British, one thing is very good in British. They keep their records very well. You must admire them. And the reports which they make, our bureaucrats can't make such reports, let me tell you. Howsoever critical I may be of the ICS and all, and the collaborators with the British Empire, but our bureaucrats don't have that intelligence to write those kind of reports. They may have intelligence, but they purposely don't, because they also want to appease their bosses. And the British policy was that from SDM, when a report will start, to the deputy commissioner, to the commissioner level, up to commissioner level, the report will go exactly what has happened. The political decision making is taken at the lieutenant governor level. And they are honest to say that we have seen this. Yes, the report is okay, but we can't take any action because this will have political repercussions. So ignore this and do this. One report which I badly look for, last statement I make. When Nehru visited Singapore, he was advised by Mountbatten not to go to the INA Memorial. And he didn't go. Forward in this Pandit's book, her sisters, Vijayalakshmi Pandit's book. Though some say he went, I don't agree with that. And from there, Mountbatten says, from here started the friendship between me, Nehru, and Edwina. Mountbatten saying it, I'm not saying it. Now the question is, where is that report which Mountbatten sent back home to the British Prime Minister or MI5 on Nehru's visit to Singapore? That report exists somewhere. It will be found.
There is a question in the chat box from Devansh Gupta. He says, why did Hindu Mahasabha and other parties didn't compete with the Congress if the Congress didn't have much support in the beginning?
Hindu Mahasabha came as a reaction to Muslim League. And Hindu Mahasabha never went for political mass mobilization. Either the leadership was not there, what was there, and then we have this secular brigade in Congress at that time also. And let me tell you one thing. I'll quote Maulana Azad here. He writes in India Wins Freedom, our leaders had taken a decision in favor of partition, but the entire country wept over it. People didn't want. Fanatics wanted it. People opposed it. And Hindu Mahasabha, I don't know, it never tried to go into a mass organization kind of a thing. You see, it's very interesting. If you look at Muslim League also, Muslim League is also not a mass organization. It is created by the elite gentry, the Nawabs and the Talukdars and all these people. And virtually it remains an elite organization till 1945. Punjab went to Pakistan. In Punjab, Muslim League could never rule. It was this Sikandar Hayat Khan's party, Unionist party, which ruled over there. Bengal went to Pakistan. Muslim League never ruled. It was Praja-Krishak party, the dominant party, Fazlul Haq's party, which ruled over there. And secondly, the Congress attitude. And, well, there are different reasons. I had a paper long back, People's Perception of Gandhi, and this program, where I've tried to analyze why did still people always followed Gandhi and why did people followed Congress? What are the reasons behind that? It's a very crucial thing. And we carry on this research.
I would like to share something about the common people you said who contributed to the freedom struggle. And they say कि ये रजवाड़ों का है. In Punjab, I don't know how many people here are from Punjab. I can't see if you raise your hands. There's a very popular song called Jugni, जिसके बहुत variants होते हैं, lot of stanzas. And there is a history about that in 1907, when it was the 50 years, 1857 के बाद, it was 50 years of Queen Victoria's rule, they had a mashal, a light torch, which went from England to all the headquarters of the British all over the globe. The empire was a big thing. And it came to India and it went to all the British headquarters. At that time, there were two people from Punjab, Bishna and Manda. एक सरदार था, एक मुस्लिम था. उन्होंने वो जुबली को deliberately mispronounce करके जुगनी बोला. And they went around singing with that because वो सारे headquarters में जाता था. They had stanzas like जुगनी जा वड़ी कलकत्ते जिथे इको ही रोटी पक्के मियाँ खाए, because of the Bengal family. जुगनी जा वड़ी मजीठे जिथे, like they're talking about कि वहाँ पे कौन ही नहीं है पीसने के लिए. वहाँ के लड़कों को सबको मार दिया गया है. उनकी माएं उनके बुल से सीते, मतलब.
Do we have a compilation of the Jugni somewhere?
No, and it says पीर मेरा जुगनी आई है, केड़ी जोत जलाई है, कौन सी लाइट जलाई है ये. And whenever they would sing, people would start gathering and the anti-British sentiment would ferment. And the British could know कि कुछ तो गड़बड़ कर रहे हैं ये, but they just couldn't pinpoint कि exactly what. But finally, they were arrested and tortured and killed in Gujranwala.
Same thing happens in late 20s. ये गाना तो फिल्मी गाना बन गया है ना. काला शाह मेरा काला है सरदार गोरियानो दफा करो. Black is my ruler, throughout these white. This was the revolutionary's message, which was sung in every gathering in Punjab. Whether it was a marriage function or whether it is a other family function, on the dholki, the women will sing this. Kala Shah, mera kala hai sardar, Goriano dafa karo. You see, India has a very interesting tradition of symbolic things. When Ramdas sent a gift to Shivaji, and you know what was the gift? A pinch of soil, some pebbles, one more small thing I'm forgetting. And Shivaji's mother was very angry that what a gift he's sending to you. And he said, no, this soil means land. These pebbles means the fortifications in the land. And this third things mean that I have to rule over them. Do you know the meaning of lotus flower? 1857. It's very interesting. Tatya Tope's family, Rajesh Tope's book has come, The Red Lotus. A red lotus has 27 to 30 petals. And a British platoon had 27 to 30 soldiers. So that's how that red lotus was circulated, red being symbol of blood. You have to take revenge. The chapati roti meant that such times are coming where food shortages will be there. Keep your food. The peeling away of the bark. A tree dies when the bark is peeled. So the Britishers are peeling India, India will die. And this movement of chapatis, etc., we see down in Madras Presidency. happening much earlier than 1857. In 1830s, these symbols are being going there. This symbolic language. I remember an anthropologist friend of mine who did a thesis on Bharatnatyam, and she said how the gestures of Bharatnatyam by women were signals to their, men in the audience, because they couldn't meet because of parda and all them openly in the thing, Our oral tradition and our symbolic traditions are very strong. And we have this. Jokes on Britishers. Because this is a form of mental protest. You can't physically protest someone, so you make fun of that person. क्यों अंग्रेज को मक्के की रोटी और साग दिया खाने को, उसने साग खा लिया और कहा अपनी प्लेट वापस ले लो. वो अंग्रेज just bumped into some lady and said sorry, and that lady gave him a tough thing. When you bump into me and फिर मन्नो sorry दिया कहता मैं पंजाबी. So there are many such jokes of this period which I collected. Because protest has you see, a very interesting thing I tell you for scholars working in this area is that, we look at economic aspects, we look at political aspects, we look at social aspects. We have never looked at the psychological aspects. It is the psyche which governs these social, economic and other aspects. And I called it a colonial psyche of dominance. And I called it Indian psyche of resistance. The two simultaneously interacted all throughout the period from 1765 till 1947, taking different forms.
Called the Chapati movement, and this involved the unusual distribution of thousands of chapatis across several Indian villages during 1857, carrying message of the native emperor seeking their services.
You see, the biggest amazing thing in this chapati thing is that one chapati will go, it will be multiplied into two and move into next one. In one night, these chapatis will move 400 kilometers. The chowkidars played the most dominant role in this. अभी जब ये पीएम को गाली निकाल रहे थे ना, चौकीदार का मजाक उड़ा रहे थे, तो मैंने ट्वीट किया था, मैं कहा 1857 में चौकीदार का रोल देखो क्या था. And the most amazing part is that not a single चौकीदार betrayed this secret. मैंने 1857 का जो म्यूजियम बनाया है रेडफोर्ट में, उसमें वो ब्रिटिशर्स के कंसर्न्स लगाए हैं. वो गुस्से में कह रहा है कि there is not a damn single Indian who can tell us what is this happening, what is this movement about. And that is why I say it was a national uprising. It was planned for last 4 years. It was not just a Sipahi mutiny. There were leaders who planned it. You see, simple thing I tell you. There were 3 dates for 1857. 10th May, 30th May and 10th June for different regions. If one region does it on 10th May, the British will move their forces there. The other region comes up on 30th May, they move their forces there, and then frontier, etc. is 10th June. Tell me why the months of May and June are selected for this. It is brilliant military strategy. In these months of heat, the British energy to fight is very low. Followed by rainy season, which will cut their supplies. No historian ever mentioned. I was the first to analyze this. And even the reasons for it.
They always report it as a failure.
It was not a failure. It was not a failure. What happened is actually, I put it this way, that they were able to suppress it. लेकिन जो उसकी चिंगारी थी ना, वो उसको अंग्रेज कभी नहीं बुझा पाए. Immediately comes the Nil Bidroh in Bengal. There comes Pabna in Bengal. There comes Malabar. There comes Birsa Munda. There comes Santhal. आपके पंजाब में आता है कुका movement. So, and because the problem is that our leftist historians thought it was a feudal revolt, so it is not to be studied. तो हमने किसी ने उसको, जबकि डोंट फॉरगेट दैट द एंटायर ब्रिटिश पॉलिसी ऑन इंडिया was based on their experience of 1857. Divide and rule. How come a Muslim ruler whose rule was confined to few lanes of Chandni Chowk was accepted as the emperor of India by everyone? The more orthodox Hindu princes also. Casteism. Overnight, communities are converted to caste and all. लेकिन हमारे स्टूडेंट महान है बहुत, वो इन पे ध्यान नहीं देंगे इन चीजों पर.
Have a very simple question. During the partition, the map of India, and in the first map of India, Lahore was shown as part of India. And 2 days later, a new map was made in which Lahore went to Pakistan. This was known to Sardar Patel and Commissioner Police Punjab Police Commissioner. And in 1948, a futile attempt was made to get that map from Lahore. And the commissioner did go to Lahore. He contacted his person, but on the way he was betrayed or whatever it was, he was captured and the map never came back. And the commissioner was released after a few years, but he was unable to tell what exactly happened. I just want to know, do we have any documentation regarding that map?
You see, there are documents which say, and even Radcliffe's own writings, he wanted to give Lahore to India, but he had to give it to Pakistan. This is Radcliffe's thing, because Pakistan had no cities and some cities were to be given to Pakistan. This is what Radcliffe has said. Nehru was in a conceding mood for everything. You see, you tell me one thing. Kartar Sahab, कितने किलोमीटर है? क्या इंडिया में नहीं आ सकता था? The Chittagong Hills. Patel was mad, you know, when Chittagong Hills were given to East Bengal, East Pakistan. By no standards they were to go to that. And that is what I say here, that these people sat on the tables and bargained a dominion status without solving the issues of partition even. कौन सा एरिया किधर जाएगा, कैसे माइग्रेशन होगा, क्या लोगों फोर्स माइग्रेशन होगा, कैसे लोगों को निकाला जाएगा, कैसे लोगों को बचाया जाएगा, ये कोई थॉट नहीं दी इन्होंने, जबकि इंडिकेशंस इनके सामने क्लियर थे कि इट विल बी ए वेरी वायलेंट. यू थिंक ऑफ दोस फैमिलीज. कोई आदमी शिमला घूमने आया हुआ था, वो वापस ही नहीं जा पाया अपना लाहौर या रावलपिंडी गई. I have experiences from my own family. My mother is from Amritsar and my Mausi was in Lahore. They had, the two Mausis were in Lahore who had their own business and all. My wife's mother was newly married. She was in Rawalpindi. How did they escape? All these things. And secondly, if you will recall, when Nehru went to meet these, they call it so-called refugees, I don't call them refugees. None of them looked towards Nehru. One old lady just turned her face and she said, "Kakka jad eh karna si te sade naal jhoot te na bolya hunda." This is the betrayal I am talking of. Okay, for their own power to get their power, sit on the chair. This thing was done. And it is not easy. It has been built up, you see. I can prove from 1919 because that's the time I have worked on Kisan movement in Awadh where he started his political career. अभी मैंने डॉक्यूमेंट्स निकाले कृष्णा मेनन पेपर से. Will you believe? Indian Air Force plane, I have the pilot's name also with me and the flight number also with me, used to bring bicycles for his grandchildren from London to Delhi. इन लोगों ने, जिसे मैं कहता हूं कि हिंदुस्तान आजाद नहीं हुआ था 15 अगस्त को, उस दिन हिंदुस्तान डिवाइड हुआ था लाशों के ऊपर. कोई चिंता नहीं थी. पार्टियां हो रही थी दिल्ली के अंदर. अरे पार्टीशन का थोड़ा सा गम तो मना लेते कि पार्टीशन हुआ है कंट्री को. वॉज दिस द इंडिया विच अवर रेवोल्यूशनरीज फॉट फॉर? मुस्लिम लीग का प्रेसिडेंट सेक्रेटरी कहता है कलकत्ता में, how could we support INA had Bose come to India? What would have happened to our Pakistan demand? And don't forget कि INA में हिंदू और मुसलमान मिलके लड़ा था सर। तो हमारे गांधी बाबा और कांग्रेस इसी in INA, Hindus and Muslims fought together. The Secretary of Muslim League said in Calcutta in 45 November, how can we support INA? If Bose had come to India, what would have happened to our Pakistan demand? Bose had made a categorical statement, I will not let my mother cut into pieces. Fortify itself. So इसीलिए that's why I say these are the compromises they made. They sit on the table and they agree to partition. Why did Gandhi go to the people? Why weren't people's opinion taken? Plebiscite, plebiscite, plebiscite. इस बात पे plebiscite क्यों नहीं हुआ country में? See, power is such thing. Even you see that game being played today also. What is happening? A country in a biological war and what we are doing and what we are talking. I don't want to go into the contemporary politics into that. But all I'll say is, okay, India was never defeated. Indians were not ever defeated. It was the Indian traitors and collaborators who made India and Indians defeated every time. You got it down. There's not a single war in India which the Britishers have won of their own valor. There's always a traitor role playing in it. Always a traitor. और आज भी हमारी मेंटालिटी ये है, oh, so and so's father was an ICS. कितनी शान से हम कहते हैं. The whole psychic aspect, unless it changes. And no efforts were made to change that psyche. Ab generation जाग रही है. I'll say the third generation now is coming up. Very strong motivation and views. That's